everybody, Bruce McGonigal here. So today, David Eby has decided he needs emergency powers to fight Donald Trump. Listen.
The bill actually requires these orders and council, these regulations, to come to the legislature, to be ratified by the legislature. It also, as a whole, sunsets within a 2-year period. The scenario I want to invite people to consider is one in which the United States rips up the Columbia River Treaty and shuts off access to the common entitlement of electricity between Washington State and Canada.
There you have it, folks. These emergency powers will only be in effect for 2 years. Mind you, I still remember when they told us it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve for COVID-19, remember? And this emergency, we're all being told by David Eby and Mark Carney and Doug Ford, which I'll get to later, Doug Ford, but we were told by them that this would be the existential crisis of our time, even greater than COVID-19, because this was economic war and a fight for the sovereignty of Canada. So if it's a sovereignty fight for Canada, why did Doug Ford say this today?
We want the best outcome for both countries. We're like a family, and sometimes there's tension between families, but that was an extremely productive meeting, and I just want to thank the Secretary for the opportunity to go in there and stay this long and communicate. We shared a tremendous amount of views back and forth, and I'm feeling very positive.
Nothing says capitulation like Ford Nation, eh? Can you imagine how the people of Ontario who actually thought Doug Ford was going to stand up for them feel right now? These are people that he whipped up emotionally that might have been in arguments with their own family members living south of the border, living in Canada, but they have American friends or just love America. These people spare no time whatsoever trying to divide you and me. They look at your emotions, your family, and everything else like that as their chew toy. And anytime they get stressed or anytime that they need political ambitions put forward, they will put out whatever extreme rhetoric that they want to trigger you or your family members and get everybody raging about something that hasn't even happened yet. These are all just words, folks. Donald Trump is the guy shaking the tree, hoping for the fruit to drop, okay? But he's not cutting down the tree. This is what people don't understand. Every time Trump says, I'm going to impose tariffs or I'm going to impose more tariffs, companies go, I hate this uncertainty and I'm going to come to America. So he's able to draw companies in from places like Canada, Europe, China, all over the world basically, without actually doing much of anything except talking. And I guess this is part of the art of the Donald Trump deal, right? Use the leverage where you have it. Well, our problem here is we've got politicians who want insane levels of authority over us, and yet who is to say that David Eby's going to be on board with whoever the next Prime Minister of Canada is, who might be bringing in their own emergency authorizations that might conflict with David Eby's. You see, this is the problem that we come down the path to, folks, is eventually you have people competing against each other with emergency powers that have conflicting results, whether it's going to be Quebec, whether it's going to be Alberta. But of course, people like David Eby don't think about stuff like this because David Eby is too terrified of landing in a United States prison. You see, David Eby and Justin Trudeau have been the ones allowing endless amounts of fentanyl and precursor drugs to pour in from the Port of Vancouver and through various other means in Vancouver Island that are killing people all across not only North America, but the world. I've posted about it before. The largest fentanyl bust by far in Australian history had the fentanyl originate from the Port of Vancouver. They'd never seen anything like that. These people were usually busting people for grams of this stuff at that point. And all of a sudden they were getting kilograms of it in, huge blocks of it in, enough to kill almost everybody, if not everybody, in Australia, if it was all portioned out to each person in Australia for one dose. This is serious, folks. And our David Eby has refused to address it. In fact, they keep saying, including Mark Carney now, that there is no problem, that 50,000 dead Canadians is no problem. Well, guess why they think that way, folks? Because half of those deaths are disproportionately out in British Columbia and, to a lesser extent, Alberta. But it's British Columbia that is really taking it on the chin, with almost 33% of all of the overdose deaths in Canada.